Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, meathead.
Owned of Disney? Of the whole holding company then?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So then that means they would roughly own 43%.
43%, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Disney was
really
43%.
that much?
No, so
That
Disney
doesn't make
valued as
sense.
43%, Pixar valued at 57%.
No, that's just the ratio between the stock
Yeah.
swapping.
But we are trying to
Right?
determine the value of the Disney at that point.
Correct. So for that, we need to know the market cap at that point.
But it doesn't matter, right? Because
Well, if for example, Disney's market cap is $50 billion, regardless of the swapping mechanism, if it's 7.5 billion out of 50 billion, then they're not owning 40%.
No, they're only a seventh,
Yeah,
roughly a seventh.
correct, 15%.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to know the market cap. Because
And the
regardless,
market
it's
cap
purchase
is
price.
the share price times the number of shares.
Correct.
And I forget what the float was at that time.
No, but if they got one,
I can find
for
it.
every 2.3 shares of Pixar stock, I got one stock of Disney.
One share of Disney.
Yeah. Then
So
it doesn't
Disney
matter.
stock is valued. If Disney stock is valued at $1, the Pixar received $2.30
or
whatever the number is in stock. Okay. And but the other question is that I'm not sure. I don't remember if they bring it out in the case study. Is how many shares were outstanding at the time?
Yes.
And did they issue more shares, or did they use shares that were already outstanding? And if they, when they issue more shares, that's when it becomes diluted. If they don't issue more shares, if they have shares in their bank, so to speak, then it's not as diluted. But I believe they issued more shares. That's why it was so damn diluted.
May 5th. May 5th, you said?
Yeah.
So then it's approximately $62 billion market cap. So then
That sounds about right.
right? So he got about he got 7.5 billion out of 62 billion.
And another way to reverse engineer it is he wound up owning 7.7%, if I recall, of Disney. He was the largest shareholder. And so if you take 7.7, call it 8% of the market cap, because that was the value of Pixar.
Of the purchase. Correct. And
7.3.
it was only a 95% purchase.
Correct.
Right? They already owned
because Disney
5.
already owned 5%.
Right.
5%, yeah.
Okay.
On the strategy micro, we should add that the largest single shareholder being Peña.
Yeah.
Because
And that was, and they made
That's
fun off the, not in the headlines of the Wall Street Journal, but people laughed at Disney for taking a psycho on because he was not controllable. To say he was a loose cannon is one of the great understatements of that time period, because he had fuck you money plus. But he was such an icon with these fucking ideas, and nobody ever focused in on the things he fucked up, because he fucked up stuff. But he realized that Apple was one of the great things. He says or said one of the great things since the earth began. I'm not sure about it. I think fire, when the cavemen did fire, was more a bigger deal than him coming up with Apple. But and he was
everything up.
He was legitimate, not crazy, but he was crazy. I mean,
True luminary.
yeah. But he was a disruptor extraordinaire, and the suits didn't want him on the fucking board. The guys that ran Disney, I mean, they looked at him as an anomaly. He was an anomaly, but they looked at him like a cancer growth, and which he ultimately died of cancer, but that's not the metaphor I'm trying to make. But and I just briefly had some stuff that I did with Apple back in the 80s, and he was a madman. First class, crazy. Not just because he just wore this black turtleneck and fucking black jeans all the time. And apparently he had 40, 50 pairs of the same shirt 40, 50 pairs of the same pants, 10, 20 pairs of the same shoes, same socks.
That's what I got.
Yeah, and why he had 40, 50, I mean, he needs a week's worth if if they go to the cleaners, but he had 40, 50 of them. And I remember seeing some picture in a magazine. He opened his closet and all the same thing across his shoes, all the same thing across the bottom. And he never furnished the big house that he had. He never furnished it. He had a couch and a couple of chairs in the living room. His bedroom was a mattress and a mirror. Half the rooms were empty with nothing. A quarter of the rooms had boxes and shit. And he never got around to that.
What's the point of having that much money then?
Well, it's like I say, Warren Buffett lives in a 3,000 square foot house. Bill Gates, and I just checked it last week, lives in a 62,000 square foot house. He added 7,000 feet onto his house. He had a 55,000 square foot house. Now he's a 62,000 square foot house. 60,000 square feet as opposed to 3,000 square feet. And Warren is the mentor of Bill. But I mean, Warren has self-esteem issues. He, doesn't really deserve. He makes all kinds of excuses. 95% of my money was made since I'm 55 years old. I'm so successful because of interest rates and I've lived a long time. Which is absolutely true. Which is absolutely true, okay? Because he made some real bombs for investments. When he invested in IBM, he made a mistake. When he invested in some of these other ones, he's made mistakes. But the corpus or the company underlying has been so successful. But when you look at his results are only about 10% better than the averages. He's averaged like 8.2, and if you put your money in the 1900, you get 7.1. But the investment game is a game of decimals, which separates the best guy's track record against the average track record against the worst track record. This last year is the third or fourth year in a row more hedge funds closed down than started because they've done poorly. The results have been poor. And now the hedge funds are investing in shit, everything from commodities, Bitcoin, a lot of different things, because they're running out of opportunities, because the hedge funds are looking for double their money, triple their money. And then if they get 15 or 20% ROI, they're happy. But they're shooting for absolutely ridiculous returns, because if you're never going to exceed your modest expectation. They understand that. And when I ran my own fund, it was more hassle than it was worth to me, because I didn't believe in customer service and shit like that. You're part of my investment portfolio. Either you did your due diligence about me or you didn't. If you didn't, that's tough shit. But now with a PC culture environment, I mean, customer service is as important as your return on investment. Because somebody can write a blog, have a podcast about how your dog shit, and then you'll have people that want to, there's a run on the bank that want their money out. And that's why they only allow the funds, most of them, you can only take your money out once a year. It used to be you could take your fucking money out whenever you wanted. They certainly don't do that anymore.
Were you able to achieve a 15 or 20% steady?
No, ours was about 10%. And I'm pretty fucking smart. I was 10%. But I was spending more time on, I didn't consider it PC, but I guess it was PC, complaining customers, investors, I should not customers.
Were they small? Like
Oh, no. 50 grand to 5 million.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And,
Because those 50 grand guys are a pain in the ass.
yeah, well, I mean, some of the 5 million guys are a pain in the ass too.
I bet.
Because in normal money management, if you got 5 million with somebody, you're considered a big customer, a big client. Because most of the guys at the JP Morgans, etc., don't have the same kind of money as the big clients do. On the hedge funds and some of the big private equity, the guys at the private equity have as much money, if not more, than the guys putting up the money. And remember, 87% of all the money on the planet now is managed by guys less than 30 years old. Okay, and unless you've got what I call internet money, you made some money on an internet deal, bricks and mortar type deal. It's almost impossible to have accumulated that kind of fuck you money in the tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. Zuckerberg and those kind of guys have it, it's getting back to Pixar. I mean, the suits, and when you were standing there, it reminds me of the old Apple commercial where they've got 4 or 5 people around, all wearing suits, and they're looking at computers. And they're talking about this is maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and if you don't have an idea, if you're not at least trying to change the world, you never will. And they have these guys with suits, but those aren't the Apple guys. That certainly is what Disney looked like. They were professional managers. There was a lot of ego involved because they invented cartoons, the Disney. Okay, and now they're being drugged along by their nose by guys wearing flip flops, which was the Pixar guys, and but the outside world, the reason they laughed at it so much is the rumor on the street is they were going to try to integrate and get the best through cross cultural exchanges, the best of best practices from the Pixar guys and rub it off on the suits. And vice versa. Well, Pixar wasn't interested in the best practices from fucking Disney. But if you were so fucking smart, how's your program? Like I say, how's your program worked out? And so they laughed, and the biggest potential black swan for Disney was Gates.
Jobs.
Jobs, excuse me, because he was a disruptor, and he was going to disrupt things because that's his model. Disrupt things, and but Disney had been around 80 years by then or something, I don't know, and they weren't interested. Everybody talks about change, but hardly anybody likes it. And when you buy this $1, $2, $3 million companies, bigger in your case, they may agree in the beginning, but they're not going to want you to change your baby too much. If their baby has a beard and purple hair like at Pixar, they're not going to want you to come in a 3-piece suit. I don't think. I don't know now, but when I was at Apple years ago, I didn't see anybody. I don't think I saw anybody with a fucking tie. There might have been one. I didn't see them, but they were highly successful. And they use what would now be called flex time. I'm okay, you're okay, cha-cha-cha. I'll come to work. When I come to work, I'll work from home. And that was the antithesis of the Disney model.